Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Lee Cantor here with Roz Lewis, another episode of GWBC Radio. This is where we have conversations to grow your business, and today's theme is mentoring your business to success. Welcome, Roz.
Thank you, Lee. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing great. You must be a little wiped out. You've been on the plane for a little bit.
I have, but you know what? It's always exciting when you're able to network with other women businesses, celebrate with other corporations, and then meet to talk about how we build a strategy around growing women businesses and small businesses.
And that's, you were in D.C. doing some of that work, kind of laying some foundational groundwork for this?
Yes, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. We hold our board meeting during this period of time in November. We meet 3 times a year. And also, we announce our women business stars. So there are 14 women business stars that are represented across this country that come to this event, along with women businesses who are meeting to discuss how they can create opportunities and programs, development programs, that is, to grow businesses.
So it's kind of best in class, all coming together to share best practices and kind of explore ways to work together?
Absolutely.
Wow, you must leave there so fired up and inspired.
I do. You know, there's also an opportunity to get involved in some legislative issues as well. On the Hill, we are partnered with an organization called WIP, Women Impacting Public Policy, that's led by Candace Waterman. And it's always great to find out what or how the needle is moving regarding some legislative issues as it relates to small business and how our congressmen and senators can help us grow those businesses. And
then in this room, every month we get to talk to a lot of amazing Atlanta folks, and then this is no exception. And we're going to talk about how mentoring can really kind of accelerate your growth. And
Yes.
So who do you have with you today?
Well, you know, we are going to have an exciting show today because our special guest is Lissa Miller, who's the first Vice President of Supplier Diversity, and Adam Moore, Strategic Supplier Diversity Manager at SunTrust Banks, soon to be Truist Financial Services. And we have Littie Brown, who's the president and co-owner of SpeedPro Marietta. So they both, all 3 of them, have been involved in a mentoring program, a program that the Greater Women's Business Council has had for over 10 years.
Right.
So
this has been part of the DNA of this organization for a long time.
Exactly. But I got one more announcement to make about a couple of people here that we have today. And that is, we're just coming off the heels of our annual award celebration that we had last week. And we have 2 winners sitting here with us.
Wow.
Right. Adam Moore received our Buyer of the Year award. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
And Lissa Miller received our Voice Award. So we're very excited about having him today.
Well, this is exciting. We'll get to hear a little bit about that, I hope. But we're going to talk about how SunTrust mentors. Is that the game plan?
Well, it's not just SunTrust. It's about mentoring, period.
In general.
Just in general. Lissa Miller is the chair of the certification. She's the chair of the Mentor Protege program at the Greater Women's Business Council, and has done a phenomenal job in engaging our women businesses to mentor each other, as well as having corporate members mentor our women businesses also. But this information is for any business of how they can incorporate mentorship, which we all need, in order to grow your business.
All right. So you want to jump in there, Lissa, and explain kind of your vision of mentoring and protege, how it all can work together?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about our program at the Greater Women's Business Council. So as Ross stated earlier, The Mentor Protege program has been around for a while. Over the last few years, I became the chair and started revamping it and kind of bringing it to the type of mentoring that we have today, which is one-on-one mentoring. Before we had group mentoring. But the women-owned businesses that were in that group mentoring environment needed that one-on-one interaction and more time with their mentor. So over the last... Because
that way they can address specific issues.
Right. They have more time to be able to meet with their mentor, talk about some of those goals that they've established for themselves. And it's only a 9-month program, so there's not a whole lot of time to get things done.
Right.
So the last couple of years, we had one-on-one mentoring. Last year, we had 7 mentor protege pairs. This year we had 8. So it grows each year. And it's basically for small certified women-owned businesses that are under $500,000 in annual revenue. And then we pair them with corporate mentors or larger women-owned, certified women-owned businesses that are at least $3 million in revenue. And we have 2 great examples here with us today about how that program has benefited both ways for the mentor and the protege this last year with Littie and her business, SpeedPro Marietta, and then Adam serving as a mentor in the program.
And then, so in your vision of this, was it what do you need more of? Like, do you need more business people to raise their hand and say, I want to be mentored, or do you need more corporates to say, hey, I'm willing to mentor?
We need both. We need both. We need women-owned businesses who are ready and willing to be mentored and have the time to work with a mentor one-on-one. A lot of times, women-owned businesses, especially if you're small, you're in your business, every part of your business every day. And so you really don't set aside strategic time to be able to work on your business, right? You're working so much in. And so mentoring really takes you out of your business and says, okay, you have to allocate some time to be able to focus on this, right? Because that's the only way you're going to develop long-term strategies to help your business grow. So we're looking for women-owned businesses who are ready to take the next step to be mentored. And then also for mentors who are corporate representatives like Adam, could be in supply diversity, could be in procurement, could be in other areas. And also larger women-owned businesses who've been there, done that, know where the pitfalls are and are able to commit time to be a mentor in the program.
Now, do you give the mentor some structure? Because it seems like they wouldn't know where to even begin. I guess just ask general questions and just kind of meander around.
We do. We have guidelines, and we have 3 to 4 group sessions where all of the mentors and the proteges get together, and we have subject matter experts that come in to talk about key specific areas that maybe you could focus on in your business. So one may be technology, one may be strategic planning, financial analysis of your organization, how to determine if you're financially healthy. And so we have group sessions where we bring subject matter experts in to talk about those key areas. But during the course of the 9 months, we suggest that the mentor-protege pair meet for at least 1 time a month. Now, many of them have met for at least 2 times a month, whether virtual or in person. But you really have to establish that bond quickly and know that you're going to be able to work together as a team, because you could have different styles.
Right. So it has to be a good fit. That's part of the challenge too, to make the right match.
And so when we match, and this is typically something that the committee does, is we look at both. We interview everyone. We interview the proteges. We interview the mentors. We want to get a feel of, what they're needing from the program, what they have to offer, what are their needs, how they work. Where are they located? That's a big deal, right? Because GWBC covers not only Georgia, but the Carolinas. So we don't want to put a mentor in Georgia with somebody who's in the Carolinas. They probably would never get a chance to meet, right? And so we're looking at location. We're looking at industry. Does it a fit? Is it a complementary industry? Personality, experience, years in business, all of that goes into the matching process. So it's a secret formula that we use.
You have an algorithm for that.
Yeah, kind of a mental algorithm. And then we match those pairs accordingly.
So, Littie, you've already gone through the experience of being a part of the mentor-protege. What gave you that decision? Or, how did you make that decision to even think that you needed a mentor?
funny you'd ask that. A lot of small businesses like myself, we get so caught up, I think Lisa said it, in the business. And when you stop and realize, I need some help. I need some other thought, some other thinking that's greater than what I know. And so I wanted my business, I wanted to be far enough along to kind of know what I was doing a little bit so that I would know what to ask a mentor or what I would need from the mentor. So, my business now 6 years old. And so, you're talking right at that point. If had I thought about it afterwards, after being in it, I probably would have done it a year or two sooner. But the timing was good for me to be able to step back and say, hey, I'd like for somebody else that has a different set of experience to see what we're doing, show them where we think our pitfalls are, and gain some knowledge from that person. And so it was a good time, a good fit for me. I think a lot of people shy away from it because you have to be open. You have to be willing to say, I need some help, first of all, and I don't know everything that I think I know, and willing to open up your kimono and show them, here's where my warts are, and that I'm looking for some help.
Right, and that the ability to be vulnerable and kind of humble, it's kind of not everybody's superpower when you have your own business, right? Because everybody's looking at you like you know what you're doing.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. People think that, you've got this. You're going to do great. You're
right.
Fine. And you're sitting there saying, I don't have this. I don't have this. I need some help. Yeah.
Right.
And it's a lonely place. I mean, from the conversations that I've had with a lot of small businesses is once you get, I just applaud every small business that's able to be in business over 3 years. I mean, that's an accomplishment right there. Mm-hmm. But it's a lonely place. I mean, you're out there, you're doing your best, with what you know and the people that you have. You're responsible for maybe some headcount, right? Right. These people are dependent upon you. Mm-hmm. And who do you turn to at least get validation on what you're doing? Is that the correct way, or am I doing it the right way? And a lot of the feedback I've received is, it was great to be able to be validated, to mm-hmm. understand that I am on the right road. And to have someone to give me a listening ear to hear, some of the struggles that I have, because they don't have that person to be able to share that information with. They can't share it with their employees. Exactly. That's being too vulnerable, right?
Yes.
They may not want to be able to share it with their partner, in the business or, their senior leadership, but who else can they share that information with?
Yeah. But don't you think that is a part of leadership? Being able to recognize those areas that you need to grow in. That is one of the things that mostly are going to come out in the whole mentoring relationship.
Most definitely. And, it's funny you'd say that because, I spent most of my career in corporate in senior leadership roles. And it is very different when you own your own business because you get used to, in a corporate environment that there are people above you that you can go to. They promote mentoring and things like that. Well, when you get out and you're running your own business, you don't have that circle of people already around you. And if you are not a leader that's either used to that or comfortable in that, then you will shy away from getting that help that you need. And so this program, I like what Lisa said about being validated. It is not necessarily somebody helping you fix what's broken, but to really show you that, hey, this path you're on is a good path. Maybe, think about doing this or think about doing that. And the mentor isn't there to say, tell you what to do and how to run your business. It's really to give you some focus and direction that helps us say, okay, well, yeah, I am doing that. So now let me tweak that a little bit. Or, I like that idea, from a strategic plan. I need to document something differently, or what I'm doing with my employees, and how do I, do I hire? Do I, get contractors? There's so many things that you can ask. But what I liked about what Lisa and the team did was to come up with what are the 2 or 3 things you want to focus on. So you're not trying to cure world hunger. And, it just allowed you to just be a little bit more, focused in rifle shooting, versus just, pelleting everywhere. So, I thought that was a major part of the program.
Now, I understand what's in it for you. You're getting this knowledge and this kind of validation. What's in it for the mentor? The mentor, Adam, you were the mentor. So talk about what you're gaining out of this in terms of, your job, or just is it personal? This makes you feel good. You're sharing wisdom. You've been there, done that. So you're going to share some of that. Like what does the mentor get out of this?
Right. And, if you're a mentor and you don't walk away enlightened and educated yourself, you weren't doing your job to begin with. I very much stick to the old adage as a mentor, steel sharpens steel. So I'm not there to mold them, right? We're just going to sharpen each other's business skills. And I love it when we're having a discussion and the mentee and myself are just kind of really getting in the weeds of some things. And my own dogmatics in business are challenged, right? I'll say something and my mentee will be like, I don't think that's going to work here. And I'll be like, you know, you have that moment of like, how dare you, right? But to have that challenge back, to get the pushback, and then to have to work through it yourself, you kind of, as the mentor, you get validated, right? Because there's oftentimes in corporate America, you're like, does anybody really appreciate what I do sometimes? But then to have that,
appreciate you.
You do. My current boss appreciates me a lot. But you get that ability to kind of exercise your own business acumen as well too. So there's a lot in it. For me also, there's a lot of friendships and personal growth that comes along in it too. You know, if you're unaffected by the relationship, again, like I said, you weren't doing it right.
Yeah.
Well, you always, want to be in a position of learning. I always say there is not an opportunity where you should not take advantage of learning. And to your point, the value add of the mentor-protege relationship is the fact that you learn from each other.
You learn a lot. You learn a lot, and you get to learn about industries that you're not in, which is absolutely fascinating. And, I say it all the time, leaders learn, right? And so that's on both sides of the island. So that's absolutely fantastic. And that's what this provides, is a fantastic forum for that.
Now, Littie, why don't you share some kind of do's and don'ts? If you're a mentee, what are some kind of key learnings you took away from the experience? Like, what are some things, if you could do it again, you would do it this way? You mentioned, like, start sooner. That was one thing. But what are some ways to get the most out of that mentor-mentee kind of relationship from your standpoint?
Well, I will tell you, first of all, I do want to brag on my mentor, who is Patrick Dierberger from Federal Reserve Bank. And not only did we just grow a great business relationship, but back to what Adam said, just a great friendship. There were times he would say, man, I've learned so much from you, Littie. And, and you're thinking, well, I've learned so much from you. I don't, you don't think you're sharing that much. But the two things that I will tell you that made the relationship work. Number one was that initial meeting that we had. And when I went to the Federal Reserve Bank, we sat down, talked about each other, tell me about you, tell me about your family, tell me a little bit about why you're doing this. How did you get into this business? And develop a rapport so that when you start to talk about the issues, it's a lot more comfortable. And so we set up, we're going to meet twice a month, and once on the phone and once down there, come out to see the studio. And so we had some plans. So number one is, what's the plan that you want to put in place? And then put that plan in place. But secondly, it's on the mentee to make sure that you're following up on the plan. Even if you're pushing your mentor, I'm the one that's getting the benefit out of his time and, his resources, which was a major part of what I did. And so showing up on time, being prepared, I think are critical things that you have to do. But having that first initial meeting and really kind of setting the ground, the groundwork of what you're going to do. Every one of us in the class had a different focus and a different direction, and it fit with that person that you were working with. It wouldn't have fit with me to be with somebody else unless I shared that same kind of direction that I wanted. And so to me, those are the things that are critical to make sure that it works.
So the curation, going back to your earlier point, curating the right mentor-mentee relationship, that's ground zero. You got to get that right or else you're going to have problems. Now, Adam, can you share some kind of best practices from a mentor standpoint? What's the best way for a mentor to get the most out of it?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to challenge the objectives the proteges put in front of you. I had a very good example this last time around where when I sat down with my protege to begin with, there were like 3 things we're going to accomplish. But when we kind of really started talking, I was like, I don't think we're even there yet to discuss these 3 things. So, being willing to kind of challenge those objectives, right, and from a business standpoint of view, and then really being willing to have that. You have to open yourself up. It's a lot for the proteges to come in there and, like we say, open the kimono and let them know. But unless there is that mutual trust between the two, you're really not going to do anything. So you've got to be prepared yourself to say, let me tell you where I've failed. Let me tell you where I've fallen down. Let me tell you where the pitfalls I've hit along this similar road, and be very open and honest with that. So that's a very best practice. Another thing for a mentor is I'd say find a mentor to mentor you while you're mentoring. Honestly. I mean, and luckily, the chairperson for the program also happens to be my boss at the bank. So I'm able to walk into her office and go, I have no idea. I think I actually did that like once or twice this last year. I walked in and said, I don't know what to say any longer, and so to be able to sit down and then discuss that with her, then I was able to go back to my protege and go, okay, refreshed, renewed, ready to talk about this again. So I think it's always an excellent idea for a mentor to have somebody themselves to run it, because you're not going to know everything. And I found myself in that same thing too. We were discussing questions about an area and a vertical that I have absolutely zero knowledge in. Because when we broke it down and we figured out where the areas were that we really needed to work on, the areas she needed to work on were really way outside my field of specialty. And I had to actually reach back into Roz's organization, the GWBC. Truly, thank goodness that is such a wide swath of businesses, and bring some people in and say, okay, I need to run this by you. I need you to go talk to her now, that type of thing. So as a mentor, don't be afraid to reach into your bag of contacts and bring them to the fray also, because we would be dangerous if we thought we knew it all.
That's right.
And Roz, this must be so rewarding to you to see how everybody kind of works together. There's a role for everybody in this kind of ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And all businesses really should have 3 key people within their organization, meaning attached to that organization. And it's also for corporate America too. So it's also for your career path. And it talks about having an advisor, you have a mentor, and then you have a sponsor. You have someone that sponsors you. And the sponsor is more on the career side, because you need someone in there fighting for you as you're trying to move up the corporate ladder. But that advisor, as Adam just mentioned, of going out and seeking that particular subject matter expert is what you want. And those people aren't constantly there. Now, your mentor, to your point, they're the ones know the good, the bad, the ugly about you. However, that allows you to be surrounded by all of the resources that you need in order to be able to scale your business. And even more so as a leader, more so than anything, because as you say, you can't go to your employees, although there are times you can go to them too, because they need to be your SMEs as well, right? Your subject matter experts on certain things, but you shouldn't, let that be a deterrent. You shouldn't let that get in the way of how you're going to, continuously expand and grow and become especially innovative, in developing your business. And I'm glad to hear that that's what we're talking about today, because I think our listening audience needs to know that, because I know the majority of them have been thinking that.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
You had asked what were the do's and don'ts, and I talked about the things to do well. One of the major things that I want to press upon people, because if you're going into the role as a mentee, looking to just do business with that mentor, right, then you're not there for the right reason.
Right, exactly.
And so in our business, getting corporate business is a big part of what we're trying to do. But I wasn't trying to go into, with Patrick and say, okay, how much revenue can I get out of the bank? How much can I sell? Because that's not what the focus has got to be. And if that is your focus, it's going to narrow down to just one thing, and you're never going to get what you really need out of it to grow the business. And if in fact you're talking and you're building a relationship, those things will come during the course of that time. And for us, we were fortunate to get a contract that was not actually from my mentor, but he connected us with somebody within the organization that was not even in Georgia, that we were able to secure the business. But it was not part of, here's my, 3 things I want to do. My 3 things were our staffing and management, our strategic plan, and our marketing plan and direction. Those were the three pillars that we were focused on. It wasn't, and then, revenue. We want revenue, but we want that to come as a offset of what we were able to do and learn and teach and find out about the organization.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't a sales call. This is the heart you have to have going into this is I'm open to learning and I want to kind of grow. Like you were saying, strategically, it's not buy my stuff. It can't be that. But now I think it's important, Littie, to also for the small business person especially, it's easy to kind of think you're on an island and that there isn't help available. And there is help available. It's just a matter of kind of partnering with the right resources, getting involved with the right associations. But there's a lot of willing people that want to help. It's just you have to be kind of vulnerable and humble enough to ask.
Exactly. And I will tell you, though, being a part of GWBC helps to make those things available. So, when you go to, the small events table of 8, if you go to when we went to North Carolina and even here out at Gwinnett, and you go to those events, you meet people there, not just from the classes, and the classes are great and the workshops are really good from a learning, but you also have time to just talk to people that you've met that are in business. Some of my, best business friends now are all in the organization, and we talk, about what's happening, and you don't see each other because you're out trying to run your business until you come together to one of the events. And then it's just like you hadn't, saw each other yesterday, so, it's relationship. It's taking advantage of your certification. You're paying for it. You've got to go in, take advantage of that. And you've got to, spend some time getting to know people and learning. And then those people share not only advice, but they share customers and they send people to you and you grow your business that way.
So what were some of your aha moments? I mean, and, Littie or Adam, you can take this, and even Lisa, of the whole mentor-protege relationship. Surely you had to have some during the process.
I had one, I won't say I had more than one, but one aha moment really when you look around and saw the people that were in the program. It is amazing to me. Like I said, I spent most of my career in corporate. The number of small businesses that do so many different things. Nobody in our class did the same thing. Mm-hmm. You think about it. If you think about all 7 of us, 8 of us, every business was not even, you can say, hey, that's kind of a spinoff. They were just from one extreme to another. And you're sitting back saying, wow, how did you get into that? How did you do that? And so you really realize that there's a lot out there, a lot of business you can help and support, that you just didn't realize it was a small business that got it going.
Mm-hmm. And Adam, surely, you mentioned earlier a couple that you had to go to Lisa about, so.
That was the first aha moment.
That was the big aha moment.
We were both having an aha moment at that point.
It's like a group session. It's okay to have a personal discussion with your protege. And with mine, it literally came down to an hour of, are you really sure you want to be in business right now? And it's okay to say that to your protege. Sometimes you have to say kind of the harder things, not mean, you're not going to be mean about it by any stretch of the imagination, but to just get real. Straight talk and go, you've got to look me in the eyeballs right now. And you've got to commit that you're in this for the next 5 years, because if not, we need to have a different discussion, and to realize it's okay to do that. And sometimes that's the conversation that needs to happen. It's not always rah, let's go get them. Let's put together a strategic plan. Let's talk about branding. The fun stuff, that's kind of the fun, exciting stuff to talk. Sometimes it's, okay, let's sit down and have a heart to heart and let's really talk about is this for you? Are you cut out to do this?
So basically what it's doing is level setting expectations. Yeah. And literally looking in at that, from an ideation standpoint of determining how you're going to be able to make this a reality. And do you have what it takes in order to be able to stay there for the long for the long haul?
Yep. Exactly. So, that was one of my biggest aha moments this time around, was really just, it's okay to do that. And then, be expected for them to say yes and then continue to push. And that was very rewarding, very rewarding.
Now, Lisa, when you're, do you have any advice for other kind of enterprises out there that aren't really embracing this mentor protege kind of model? Like, what would you tell them, if any advice regarding, hey, if you're going to start this, these are some things you should be doing and not doing, or this is a framework that might work for you? I
think, and I'm just going to give the aha moment for me was, before I answer that question, is, a lot of these women-owned businesses had personal stories before they even went into business. And hearing some of those personal stories of how people got to where they are, I mean, some of them almost made me tear up, some of those stories. But to see the resilience of these businesses, it really was so encouraging. And every year when I talk to these women-owned businesses and hear their stories and hear why they want to be in the program, it just motivates me to continue doing it. So I love doing this, but it's personal for me because I want to help people achieve success in life. And I understand where they've been and I understand where they're trying to go. And if there's any way that I can be of use and be helpful, I will be happy to do that. I don't know if I've told Roz, I've often told my husband, I said, if I won $1 million, I would definitely throw it into this program because I just think it needs.
We will take it.
That's an oral
money. Those numbers.
Yeah. Personal money. But I think, organizations that are looking to do this, I think it's something you really need to sit back and put a plan against. You need to have committed resource, a person that's wanting, raising their hand to volunteer and has the time to do it and is committed to do a good job at it. You don't want to just throw something together because it will show, the results will show in the type of program that you have. But if you want to start small, it could be just an informal gathering of people, just coming together, networking, like Littie was mentioning. A lot of times when you're in business, like you're working so much in your business, you don't get a chance to go out and meet other business owners. But you would find if you did, they're sharing the same challenges that you have.
Right.
And just being able to talk to these people and to share ideas in a comfortable and confidential setting is, that's the first step, right? And understand that what is discussed in the room stays in the room, right?
So what happens in Vegas stays.
What happens in Vegas
right.
stays in Vegas.
Exactly.
You talk about some things. You may, get together for coffee or tea or whatever and just chat. Have some discussion. And then you might agree to do this on a structured, setting, once a month, once a quarter, whatever. Even doing that is helpful. And I think, that's where these programs start. And then they start talking about, well, we need expertise in this area and we really need to hear from somebody about how we can do X, Y, Z. Then you start putting structure around that because you're going to have to bring those people in. Of course, we're always bringing in people for free. So there's no, we don't have to dish out any money for that. But, starting small, with a committed group of people who are willing to share, be vulnerable with each other and help each other and support each other. That's where you start.
Now, when you're building the structure for the program, are you building any kind of metrics or metrics that matter that show that, hey, we are making progress? There is a high five at the end of this?
Yes, we do surveys. And throughout the program, we actually have reporting that we request from the proteges so they can tell us where they are. As far as their goals, have they started working on them? What the progress has been, have they completed it or whatever? And then at the end of the program, when we have our final graduation, then they do a 5 to 10 minute presentation to talk about what their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities were at the beginning of the program, how they've been able to achieve against those goals at the end of the program and what their future plans are. And so we have all of that information and understand, what progress they have been able to make through the 9-month program.
So literally one of the things I think that's always key too is the fact that, we're not mentioning the T word enough is that trust. Because going into those settings, as you're saying, whether it's formal or informal, you're going to have to trust the person that you're talking to, that they're going to be knowledgeable enough to share information or even say, I don't know, and that's what you're looking for as well. But we do encourage any business to make sure that they have, especially the leaders, to have a mentor. or even for your employees within, to have some type of mentorship that takes place within your organization. You know, there's a saying, there are enough mistakes that have been made. You don't have to create new ones.
That's right. So
you know,
true.
that you can learn from those existing ones. And so you want to find someone who's kind of gone through some of the things that you've gone through, you know, as well, that can align and have that empathy and understanding. But then are you willing to change?
Right.
You
And
know?
do the work.
Right. And do the work that's necessary, you know, to make those adjustments that's needed.
And then what happens when they complete the program? Is there like an alumni group where they hang out?
We were planning for that for 2020 actually. So yeah, we were talking about that at our last committee meeting. So we will have an alumni group that actually will start coming to some of the group sessions in 2020.
Because they can be future mentors.
Correct.
Right.
And I'm always drafting people. So we're planning for that in 2020 to have an alumni group because, you know, there are people that have gone through the program that have seen a lot of great success, and they certainly would be able to share with the people coming into the program and serve as a beacon of hope for those people coming into the program that there is a rainbow at the end of the tunnel, right? And that they can aspire to do exactly what these other companies have been able to do.
And Lee, as you mentioned, you know, saying, you know, how that reciprocity works of coming back, we have had some proteges that have become mentors as well. So that's showing a success story as well.
Sure.
Because that means they're growing and feel comfortable enough to be able
And
to
they want to
take
pay it
on.
forward.
Exactly. And pay it forward.
You know, one thing that Lisa said that when you asked about the process or the program itself, there are two things from me, from a mentee, from a protege, that I thought was very critical to our success. And that was, one, we had to turn in those reports at the end of the quarter. So you couldn't you couldn't get back and say, oh man, I haven't done anything. So, you had to turn those in, which to me, holding us accountable for actually doing what we needed to do.
That's valuable just for that exercise.
Yeah, just that makes you step back and say, okay, now am I on track?
Right.
And then have to say, are you there? Are you working on it? You know, or have you not started
Exactly.
yet?
And then how come you haven't?
Right. And then the second one, when you think in the program, because we didn't know what to expect, you're thinking you're going to be with your protege, for your mentor for most of that time. But then when we had the sessions, we had 3 sessions that were group sessions where you actually had some training. We had the finance training, the marketing training. And so you were able to come together as a group. So there was some group,
you had a cohort of the
rest of us. And so to me, that really added to the program, along with, because then you took that information and those learnings back to your meeting with your mentor and talk about how does that fit in to what you're trying to do. So I thought that was it made the program very well rounded.
So the cohort component where you all got together because you're all going through similar things individually
and sharing best practices,
exactly.
right? So that was one of the focus areas of the group session, is to talk about best practices, you know, and any challenges. I mean, when Littie was talking about, you know, you can't come into the program thinking that this is the way you're going to get revenue or, you know, increase your customer base. So we actually had to turn down 2 women-owned businesses because that was their only focus.
Right. So that's not a right fit for this.
So that's
type
not
of
a right
program,
fit for this type of program. You know, if that's the only thing you want to do,
right.
This
Join
program
a regular networking thing, and
or you know, get some business development person in your organization. So if you come in it with that attitude, you're not going to get anything out of it because your mind is just closed to experiencing any other opportunities to, you know, improve your business.
Yeah, it was amazing to me, even in our sessions. And you'll think about this, when somebody brought up, you know, an issue or a question, how the rest of the group questioned and said, okay, now you put that up there. Now, how are you going to do that? You know, or had you thought about this? So there was a lot of peer-to-peer accountability.
Right.
That, you know, that sounds great, but, you know, are you sure that that's really what you want, you know, or explain a little bit more. So you couldn't get away with just throwing something out there and not think you were going to get challenged by, you know, the rest of the group, which was in a very trusting, learning, open. Nobody felt that they were being exposed. It was all for the betterment and the good of those businesses. And so I thought that kind of made that program really feel connected. You know, we all feel really connected with each other. with the other mentors.
Was there a
totally?
Was there a forum for the cohort to engage throughout the 9 months?
Outside of the sessions,
Right.
only if you did it one-on-one, just
Right.
because I knew.
So that might be an interesting component to this, to give them a forum, a Slack channel or something, so they can have their own kind of group chat going,
well,
they can share.
We had two virtual calls, one with the proteges, one with the mentors, and really those calls were set up so I could hear some honest feedback on how everyone was doing.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to, say something about your mentor and and your mentor's on the phone. So we had two different calls.
Which I thought was great.
Just to call in, check in, how's it going? And so, at those calls, we could, have follow-up calls if we heard anything that was needed to be remediated because there was an issue. Yeah. And not all the mentoring pairs went very smoothly. I mean, you had some that went extremely well.
When humans are involved.
Right. So you had some that didn't go too well, and that's where the committee had to intervene and have those discussions and kind of work those issues out.
Yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit about the American Express Small Business Saturday. When's that? That's coming up, right?
It is. November 30th is the day. It's always the day after Black Friday. So
After Black
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's Saturday after Black Friday is when it is. So the good news is Black Friday, you're always fighting for that one TV that they advertise for $29.99, right? However, on Small Business Saturday, there's a great opportunity, to support small businesses. And we're hoping that everyone that's listening to us will get an opportunity to go out and support, whether it's the restaurant, whether it's the small shops, whether it's your, you can even go to your favorite spa, as long as it's owned, by a small business, think about that and how we can generate so much revenue on that day. And it's a great opportunity to also talk to them, right? You're getting involved in your community as well. And I've been supporting small business for years, ever since they started the program. I have my favorite shops that I go to and purchase from. And keep in mind, the holidays are coming up too, so that's another reason why you want to do it. So we hope, that you continue to do this. And I'm going to challenge everyone. It is not about just Small Business Saturday that happens to be after Black Friday from the Thanksgiving holidays. How about choosing some additional Saturdays throughout the year and where we support and make a conscientious effort to, go ahead and support small businesses. So I put that challenge to everyone too.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially in your local community. It is a way, because those are the businesses that are sponsoring stuff at the schools and their kids are going to school. I mean, and that's, I don't know, you probably, the banking folks probably know the stats. Like, that's America, right? That's where most businesses are, those people, right?
I don't think we could live without them, really. No. I know I couldn't, because I support small businesses every week. So, in my neighborhood, there are so many small businesses that I have relied upon for several years, and there's no way I could live a comfortable life without, doing business with them.
I think it'd be interesting if people literally just wrote down all of the places that they go that are not part of a major corporation or major store outlet. They would be surprised how much business they actually are currently doing with small businesses and just don't know it or not aware of the impact that they're having.
Right.
And so I challenge, come see us on Monday. We're not open on Saturdays. If you need any printing, if you need any banners or any signs, we can help you with.
Online presence though, right?
Right.
Yes, you can.
24/7, I'm sure.
SpeedProMarietta.com. Just go there and shoot us an email and just say we heard Small Business Saturday. We've got our kit from American Express, who's been a big, I would say, partner for us because we pay them every month. But we really rely on that type of credit that you get from American Express and their focus on small businesses. But there are a lot of small businesses, like Lisa said, that you're just not really aware of. Even when you walk into the mall and the one-off shop, there's a shop that sells, it's called Transcending Tea. and they moved out to, they had 2 locations and now in, town center, but it's tea. They have one of those little shops inside of the, the mall. And, I drink a lot of tea. I don't drink coffee. Shea latte coffee. I'm going to get some for my mom for Thanksgiving because she's coming here and, she drinks coffee. I don't. But you start to think about, man, I know a lot of little small businesses, my cleaners, that I go to. You don't even think about
dry cleaners, hair
salon,
beauty salon, nail salon, all the salons.
All of that. Yeah. Every salon.
Every salon.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you're working with them, you're impacting their family. Like this is it's a personal thing.
Exactly.
It's really unbelievable because we've done financial impact studies. So looking at supplier diversity, we want to know what is the downstream impact. Talk about an aha moment. I mean, when I saw a report that we had done and you saw the direct and indirect, truly the downstream ripple effect is unbelievable. The amount of families you're helping and then the families inside those communities and you're helping those communities job creation and opportunity creation. It is absolutely astounding. So you actually can do a lot with a little just by making a purchase at, your local tea shop or your favorite salon. It truly makes a big impact in the communities that those places sit in. So yeah, it's just not just doing well for small businesses, but it's helping small businesses impact those communities. Impacting those communities helps all of us. So it's crucial.
It's one of those things where like GWBC is so instrumental and your support, SunTrust support of them is so instrumental because nobody gives them the time of day, this little shop, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're out there battling on their own. They're trying to figure things out. And they don't, they might know a little bit about what they're doing, but they're going boldly forward. They're risking a lot. And, with a kind of a small reward sometimes, they're just staying alive. When organizations like yours, Roz, and SunTrust can go and help and give them a leg up and accelerate their growth and give them maybe some shortcuts or kind of smooth out that learning curve, it makes a big difference. And they are most businesses. That's what most businesses look like. They look like the mom and pop shop,
Which is true. And, the economic viability, we don't stress that enough of the impact that they are making, in the communities. We cannot do without them.
But they're little. So any one of them isn't making a tremendous impact. So they don't get the headlines where like the big organizations kind of take all the air out of the room because they're, one move by them makes a big is news.
But we got to focus on that starfish.
Exactly.
Right? That starfish.
You can help that one.
So you can help that one. Right. You can save that one. So that to me is what's so important and realizing it. And even if you don't purchase this Saturday, on that Saturday, go in and say thank you. Thank you for being in business. Thank you for hiring that young kid, who needs that experience in order to now put that on their resume that will, give them an opportunity with the next company. So that in itself is where we need to show the value of what our small businesses does for us, in the community. And we could not thrive without them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I want to add too, though, there's, from the B2B side, business to business side, one of the successes that we've had is that when we partner with other small businesses to then call on, the larger companies like the SunTrust or the university. And so, part of, I think, the program isn't so much that, I'm trying to get a direct job, but if I can get, another printing company to go in with me to do a part of the job that I don't do.
You're
and the
working
two of us together go in
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to win that contract and, we're able to, provide those services. There's a lot of business to business that if we rely and use each other, that will then get us to those larger opportunities. I think that's one of the things that GWBC pushes all the time. Are you doing business with each other?
Right.
What can you do to help drive that business just because you need that services yourself?
Right.
And then how do you work together to then go after businesses or go after jobs that might be larger in scope?
So now, Ron, so the mentor protege that's a everyday thing happening, right? Like this is something year round or 9 months out of the year that you're working on. So, and probably the other 3 months you're planning for the 9 months, right?
We are. As a matter of fact, we're in the planning stages now. And so we will launch 2020's Mentor Protege program next January. But we've already started our application process. Yes, you must be a certified woman-owned business of the Greater Women's Business Council in order to be considered to be a part of the Mentor Protege program. But, this message is also, to the corporations, as well. Is this an incentive for you to get certified as a woman-owned business? Yes. But not only with our organization, look at other organizations that you can be a part of and find out if they have a mentor protege program. If they don't, challenge them. Right. To start one, just as we were challenged to start one because we saw that as a need. And, one of the things, that we must say about our mentoring, there was a strong reason why we did it. Because believe it or not, that's the number one challenge for women businesses is identifying mentoring, and mentors, and advisors, for their business. So that and access to capital. So we got SunTrust here.
That's why they're here.
Yeah.
They check a lot of boxes.
In the room too, the money, they need money, in order to support those contracts. But I do challenge other organizations if you don't, and start it yourself. It doesn't mean that, you've constantly got to look for someone else. You be the change that you want to see, in the world. Who said that? Gandhi?
Yeah.
Yes, right. So I encourage you. Very smart guy.
So now, if somebody, Lisa, wants to get involved with the Mentor Protege going forward, are you the point person for this or next year as well, or your term is up?
No, I'm still in the program, I think.
She's still the chair.
I'm still the chair for now.
So what do you need more of, and how can we help you?
We need both mentors and proteges. Like Raj was stating, the application has gone out already for proteges to apply for the program, and there is a deadline of January 3rd for that application. If you did not receive an application, then please contact the Greater Women's Business Council. And Roz, I don't know what address that would be.
The website?
But probably on the website.
Yes, they can contact us at the website at GWBC.org. We just changed our URL. So GWBC.org, you'll be able to contact us.
And they can get all the information they need to apply for that. And then what about the enterprise level companies that if they wanted to get involved from a mentorship standpoint?
They can contact me directly. By emailing me at supplier.diversity@suntrust.com.
Yep. Now, are you looking for specific types of talent to be the mentors, or you'll take anybody that's...
we'll take anybody that's ready, willing, and able.
And there's training they don't have to come in knowing stuff that you're going to help them.
So what we typically do is we set up a 30-minute call to have a conversation, explain to them what the expectations are, the structure of the program, see where their interest lies, where their capabilities and skills lie, and, what they could bring to the program. And then we'll, make sure that they're a right fit, and then we'll proceed.
And then let's give you a chance to talk about SunTrust and like your involvement in GWBC, why that's so important to you.
Well, I've been involved with GWBC for a couple years? Few years? No, more years. I don't know.
Than that.
More years, yes. But I'm the first vice chair of the board of the GWBC, so I have the awesome opportunity to work with Roz and the rest of the board members in making sure that the GWBC delivers on all of the goals and projects and strategies that they put forth. And we just finished our strategic planning meeting, so we have a lot of interesting and awesome goals that we're trying to achieve as an organization. So I'm so delighted to be able to serve in that capacity as well as being the chair of the Mentor Protege Committee. And Adam has already been drafted for another year.
Yep.
Being a mentor.
Yep.
So he's on board again. Thank you, Adam.
You're very welcome.
As many of our mentors for this year have already agreed to be mentors for next year as well.
That's a testament to how powerful the program is. Now, Littie, why don't you talk about SpeedPro a little bit? Tell who's your ideal customer and what kind of work are you doing in that?
Thank you. First of all, SpeedPro Marietta, we are a large format printing company, so we focus from anything from a banner that you might want to print to a vehicle wrap. We do all things graphics, so whether you from event planning to signage needs, we're working on a project that companies that are remodeling or moving or creating, so they need vinyl on the walls, they need wall graphics window graphics. So we do just about anything that has to do with printing. We can also help people. We partner with some other companies with printing their programs and brochures and things like that. We package all that together for them. But our main focus is on helping them with their large format printing.
And the website?
The website is SpeedProMarietta.com.
And then what has been your kind of most rewarding part about being part of the GWBC?
These people right here, just the relationships, the commitment to you being successful. They are always encouraging. They're always looking for ways to help us in our business. They promote our company, and they're just great people. So just the organization, the other certified members that are there, we have great relationships. We've helped each other in learning, and it's just a great opportunity for women to come together and support and promote women in business.
Now, any advice for a woman-owned business that's not part of the GWBC?
Get certified. And my one advice is get certified and then use the program. Don't get certified thinking that you're going to get a lot of stuff just coming to you and you're just going to sign
just by
all
writing
these.
a check and you think you're done.
You pay that. I'm certified, so now send me some business.
Right. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. You got to get involved, and you got to be active. You got to, participate in programs, and then when you do that, it does come. And then know that in business it takes a while, but the more women that are in business for themselves that are part of the organization, it just strengthens the organization from the standpoint that there's just more of us that we can get a lot more done.
Right, but it's kind of a no-brainer, though, to be certified.
It's a no-brainer for me. Right. I was certified the first year I opened up in business. You know, so I don't know any reason why you would not want to.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
And one thing, though, so, our audience understands about certification. It is literally to identify that you own the business as a woman-owned business. Yep. So we're not certifying your financials. We're not certifying the viability of your business. We're literally certifying that you're at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled in running that business. And you can have other women business partners. You can have even males within your business as part of the ownership, as long as they are part of the 49%. Of the business. But, one thing I want to say too, because companies like SunTrust really understand the value of doing business with diverse suppliers. And more importantly, it's about walking the talk. I'm a firm believer is you can have all the lip service, but are you walking the talk? Yeah. And Lisa and Adam have been very excellent representatives of that message that comes from a company like SunTrust. Too often our corporations don't get that opportunity either to really talk about what they do in the community, what they do to help, small businesses, women businesses, and minority-owned businesses. And I think that's key more than anything to understand that when you are a customer of these companies, they are reinvesting back in you. They may not touch you personally, but they are touching someone that they can help to grow that community and become engaged. And that's really what it's all about. That's really what we want, to do. So you hear a lot of us talking about women all the time, right? And because we're a women's organization. But keep in mind, we do have he's for she's, and those are men that are involved in our organization.
I can attest to that.
Like Lee and Stone here at Business RadioX.
Well, great show. Once again, the information here is so important to business owners. Mentoring your business success is real. There's ways to do it. And GWBC is doing it every year with folks like SunTrust. Thank you all for being part of this show today. And thank you all for sharing your story. We will see you all next time on GWBC Radio.